All right, slowly trickling in. Okay, everyone, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. People are slowly trickling in. And everyone, as you do, if you could just do us a favor and make sure that you keep yourself muted while you're on and while it's not your turn to speak. And we will ask that when question time comes, that be the time when you can unmute your microphone and ask your questions. So thank you everyone for being here. Again, others will be trickling in as we go. We ask that you please stay to the end for sure, because we will have some really great question and answer time toward the end. So thank you all for being here. Just quickly, want to go over some protocol here for how-tos, how to participate and what to expect. So first things first, we ask that you guys make sure again that you keep your audio off. So keep yourself on mute. And this little graphic here down at the bottom shows you how to do that on Zoom. Okay. Keep your video on. We'd really prefer that we can see each other. It's really nice to be able to see one another's faces as opposed to feel like you're looking at just a blank screen, computer screen. And then anytime you guys have any questions during the presentation, or if you're having any troubles that we might be able to help with, just go ahead and put a message in the chat box. You can either message directly to me if you need to, or to everyone either way, just in case maybe other people are having the same issue. And we'll try to help you out as we go. Okay, so I guess let's get started here. First things first, I should introduce myself. My name is Allison Owens, and I'm the ITEN project team's coordinator. And so today, those of you who are not familiar maybe with ITEN, it's the Inter-American Teacher Education Network. So we work specifically, it's an initiative of the OAS, the Organization of American States, and we work specifically with ministries of education and other governmental teacher education institutions, as well as directly with teachers in teacher advancement, specifically with STEM education. So those of you that want to get involved and are curious more about this, we specifically work with those ministries and education institutions and teachers in STEM, and you guys can learn more about that at a later date here on December 10th, as we have listed here, and that will be at 12 o'clock Eastern time. That's a webinar, so we'll give you more information about that at the end of this webinar today. This is our timeline specifically for our project teams. So you're getting ready to listen to a webinar from a project team that has been doing this exact cycle. So they've been working with one another for the past 6 months from May through October, and now November is their share out time to show you all what they've been working on for the past 6 months. So during this webinar, please participate, listen for the first half hour. They're going to be discussing, telling you exactly what they've been doing over the last 6 months and sharing their results. And we hope that you guys will listen and have questions. The last half of the hour is meant for question and answer. So please use that chat actively if you have questions or want to chat with one another, if you have questions for us. And then towards the end specifically, we will start with the question and answer section, and I will once the team finishes, then I'll go ahead and jump back on and introduce that section. And please stay to the end because we do have a survey at the end that we would really appreciate you all's help with. So, and if you have any questions in the meantime, take note of these email addresses here. You can address me directly at my email address, aowens@oas.org for the project team questions. And if you have any general ITEN questions, then you can email our program coordinator, Rebecca Vieira, at rvieira@oas.org. Okay, and at this point, I'll go ahead and allow our team here. We've got our team of the Grenada, Bahamas, and Jamaica. And if you all want to go ahead and get started, Nicole, I will hand it over to you all.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Nicole Morgan from Team Jamaica. I am the Training and Development Manager for Early Childhood Commission.
Good afternoon and a warm Caribbean welcome to our webinar, everyone. This session is titled Designing an Interactive Digital and Printed STEM Resource Manual for Early Childhood Teachers in the Caribbean. I'm proud to present our team, which comprises of a group of smart, talented, and obviously beautiful Caribbean ladies who share a common belief that the early childhood years present a splendid opportunity for empowering our future STEM innovators. I will now invite each one to introduce themselves. Nicole went ahead and did so. So my name is Jacqueline Chen. I am presently acting vice principal at a teachers college here in Jamaica. Next team, Rochelle.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am Rochelle Ferguson. I am vice principal for the Bloom Preschool at Open Campus University of the West Indies.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joanna Millanili. I hail from the Bahamas, and I am the principal of Willard Patton Preschool.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexis Ferguson, and I am from the Bahamas, and I teach at Eva Hilton Primary School as a preschool teacher.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lorraine Diali. I'm from Grenada, and I am the curriculum officer for science and mathematics here in Grenada.
Okay, I believe that is everyone here present at this moment. We do have other team members. I'm hoping they will join us pretty soon. All right, so we'll just continue in the meantime. So as part of our journey towards the realization of our vision, which I will explain very soon, we had the opportunity to meet face-to-face and to present our project ideas to a group of participants at an ITEN 2019 seminar held in Peru in August. So for the purpose of our presentation, we are going to organize our slides according to that visit. We're going to look at what happened in preparations for that Peru visit and that presentation, what happened during the presentation while we were at Peru, and what took place after. So we're going to just take you through our little journey through this project. I'm going to share the slide now so you're able to see our problem statement. So when we came together as a group, we realized that we all had something in common. And it's clearly articulated in our problem statement. Many early childhood teachers in the Caribbean context do not have sufficient guidelines to utilize, implement STEM activities in their classrooms. And as a consequence, we feel that their students often leave their classrooms with inadequate knowledge, skills, and attitudes to prepare them to be innovative STEM thinkers. So we said we need to change this. So our vision is to facilitate the development of learning environments that inspire, motivate all preschoolers and early childhood teachers to become creative Caribbean STEM innovators of the 21st century. Just checking, are you able to see the slides?
No.
No, could you go ahead and click your share button again and make sure that it's, when you click share screen, that it's up.
Share. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, and then
Okay.
and then you can click the slideshow and you'll be good.
All right.
Perfect.
Okay, beautiful. So went through to our right. So this is our vision. As a team, we want to facilitate the development of learning environments, as I said before, to inspire and motivate preschoolers and early childhood teachers to become creative Caribbean STEM innovators of the 21st century. Now, just a brief overview of our project ideas. So our project focuses on providing opportunities for 3 to 5-year-olds to be engaged in stimulating, interactive, STEM-related activities. Our aim was to, or it still is to, design these activities and present it in both digital and printed versions. And we would like these activities to be very engaging, be theme-based. It must be interactive around project ideas, and it should have practical guide as to how the teacher may assess the students and to gauge the students' learning. We're definitely hoping that teachers, parents, and other stakeholders will see the benefits of this manual or booklet and to use it to inspire our children or early learners with the knowledge and skills and positive attitudes that are needed to become STEM innovators. So our initial goals. When we first started off, we said these are the things we would love to accomplish. We would want to compile an interactive STEM resource manual, and as I said again, digital and printed versions. So initially we wanted to complete this by October 1st, 2019. Having completed that, our aim was next to pilot this draft STEM document in preschools in Jamaica, Bahamas, and Grenada, and we're hoping to do this by October 31st. Having done that, our next aim was to evaluate the document, make the necessary adjustments for the webinar, which for today, scheduled for November 2019. Then our next goal was to expand the use of this manual to Jamaica, Bahamas, and Grenada, and by extension, the wider Caribbean. And we'd love to do this through a cooperative exchange in December. So these were our initial goals. We also had intentions of making updates and improvements to our manual, and so that we would be ready for March 2020. Now, as I said before, the slides are arranged according to our trip to Peru. So before Peru, considering all that we wanted to accomplish, We had frequent project team meetings, and for the most part, before PERU, this was done via the Skype or through Zoom. And then we had our intentions of doing teacher surveys to identify the STEM needs of early childhood teachers and students in all 3 Caribbean territories. However, prior to PERU, Bahamas was the only country that was able to accomplish this. And I will now invite one of our team members from Bahamas just to share what they had done in relation to the STEM survey.
Good afternoon. Leisure Burrows, Senior Education Officer, Ministry of Education, Bahamas. The Teacher STEM survey was one of the ways that we determined would be used to basically canvass the current status of STEM education within the schools, so that we'd be aware of what the implementation of STEM education currently was in terms of early childhood teachers. And then we wanted to be provided with information so that we can design a resource that met the needs of teachers where they were at this current time, and to determine what was necessary to improve the quality of STEM education in early childhood classrooms. Okay. The survey was distributed to a sample of teachers in the system. Next slide, please. And the results of the survey showed that the first question teachers were asked was, how familiar are you with STEM education? And for us, we were surprised that 11% of the teachers had never heard of STEM education. 33% were somewhat familiar, and about 13% considered themselves very familiar with STEM education. So that in itself gave us a landscape of what the population in terms of awareness of STEM education was. The second question, you have the questions, is what does STEM education stand for? Were teachers aware of S, T, E, and M, the acronym? And only 59% of the teachers knew what STEM, S, T, E, M, science, technology, engineering, and math stood for. There were actually 21% of the teachers who had no idea what this acronym meant. The third question asks, do you think preschool students should be exposed to STEM education? And we were happy to know that 82% of the teachers said yes, we should expose preschool children to STEM education. Question number 4 asks the teacher, do you plan STEM activities for your class? And only 20% of the preschool teachers plan STEM activities. 51% said sometimes, and 28% said no. And so it meant that STEM education definitely was not being implemented at the level that we would expect and that we know is necessary. The next slide, please. The 5th question asks, do you think it's possible to facilitate STEM education within the Bahamian preschool classroom? 75% of the teachers said yes, it is possible. So it means that they were open to introducing STEM education. 17% were still not sure. That's the target group we need to convince. The 6th question asks teachers to identify the challenges that they thought they were more likely to experience implementing STEM education. And without a doubt, 70% of the teachers identified limited resources as their major challenge in implementing STEM-related activities within the preschool. The 7th question asks the participants to identify what they thought were the qualities that were most important for STEM teachers, because we wanted to know if they saw themselves as a STEM teacher. And most teachers are saying that a strong knowledge in technology, which we actually don't agree with, but a strong knowledge in technology is required in order for you to teach STEM education lessons. The last question we asked teachers is, how interested are you in learning more about implementing STEM education in your classroom? And 82% of the teachers were very interested. So this set a platform for the project, in that we know that many of the teachers were interested, but limited resources and lack of knowledge they considered to be challenges to implementing STEM education. Thank you.
Thank you, Leisha. And as we move before that, before we actually met in Peru, we also had, we had decided as a group, Jamaica had done a project previously with another private institution, and I'll ask Rochelle to share, because an outcome from that project is a STEAM manual of activities for the early childhood group. And so as a team, we had decided that we could use this manual as a foundation to further inspire us. So I'll just ask Rochelle just to give a brief overview of that previous project and how it sets a foundation for our goals moving forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. In 2016, I was approached to do a 2-year project with the Dudley Grant Memorial Trust alongside, well, funded by Grace Kennedy, which is a local business in Jamaica. The Grace Kennedy Foundation actually has a STEM center in the inner city close to its offices. And it's facilitated by secondary students and primary students in the afternoon. Now, their idea was to have it to facilitate the young students, the preschool children, ages 3 to 5, during the day. So I was approached to do that project. We decided to use the project approach to teaching and introduce STEM activities that way. We used our Jamaican curriculum as well as a guide as to how to use our STEM activities. We worked with, for the first year, we worked with 2 schools, and in our second year, we worked with 3 schools. And they would come to the STEM center and we did our activities. Everything that we did, however, was documented, and I created a curriculum from all of these activities. So when this project came about, we already had a guide. Although it's not really used in Jamaica, we have a set of activities. So we're thinking, could we use that or maybe expand on it? We decided to use it just as a guide and to use the experiences from each island to speak to our new manual. So from each island, each team created 5 activities. What we created now for ourselves, we created 5 activities that are STEM-based to put together to create our new manual. However, we use like the formatting from Dudley Grant's manual to guide us as a guide for what we're doing now. That's basically it.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Rochelle. Because you're going to expand a little further, just wanted them to see that we actually met in Peru, and it was while we were in Peru that we presented our project ideas, and we got positive feedback, and that just further motivated us to continue to work. However, when we returned from Peru, into going back home, we had some obstacles that we eventually overcame. We had the passing of Hurricane Dorian in Bahamas and work-related commitments, which we must all agree to, that it caused huge setbacks to our completion dates. Despite this, however, being so resilient as we are, we continued with our meetings and we're still very much committed to task. So to date, these are some of the accomplishments that we have done so far.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask Nicole just to take over here. As I said before, Bahamas was able to do their survey prior to Peru, but since we've been back, we have Jamaica taking part in that survey.
Yes, similar to Bahamas, we wanted to ascertain the teachers' knowledge about STEM. So we conducted similar survey with our practitioners in Jamaica. And the data is quite similar to Bahamas. We had 52 responses while Bahamas had 68 responses. Over 50% of our respondents shared that they know about STEM education, while only 6 persons of the 52 stated that they had no knowledge of STEM. What does STEM mean? Most of the practitioners stated that they understood the term STEM. However, only about 3 persons stated they did not know and they were not sure. One person in particular stated that STEM represents science, technology, English, and mathematics. Of course, these results are quite interesting. Now, most of them understand, 50% of them have knowledge, but we asked, do you think children ages 3 to 5 should be exposed to STEM education? 84% stated yes. Similarly to Bahamas, 82% stating yes, we definitely need the children to be exposed to STEM. Therefore, our manual is a need. Another question, do you plan STEM activities for your class? Similarly, 19%, we had 19.2 stating yes, while Bahamas had 19% stating yes, they actually plan activities, while 28% of the Jamaican teachers stated that they did not plan activities, and 51 stated that sometimes they actually did. Now we asked again, do you think it's possible to facilitate STEM education with a Jamaican early childhood classroom? And 80% stated yes. And this is a good data to show that the practitioners are interested in STEM. However, what challenges are you likely experience implementing STEM education? Majority of the practitioners, over 40, nearly 40 of them share that strong integration is their challenge. While for Bahamas, technology was their highest rating. Also, one of our challenges were lack of knowledge and limited instructional, which is similar to Bahamas. I think I went ahead on one step. One of the data, which qualities do you think are most important for a STEM teacher? Of course, they say that they need to have strong knowledge of technology. They need to be technologically savvy and need to have teaching experience, and as well as the knowledge of technology. Very interesting. How interested are you in learning more about implementing STEM education in your classroom? Over 82% practitioners stated that, which is similar to Bahamas. That's why we're here today, because there is a need for STEM education and there's a need for the training.
Yes.
Go ahead now.
So definitely, we feel very motivated to know that our teachers will be motivated and they will be very much interested in this STEM manual. As we look at the survey and we look at the data, we decided, okay, what we need to do is to start to begin our STEM activities, start to plan and to see what we can come up with. So we added each Caribbean flavor to the activities. So I'm going to ask each country, Grenada beginning, just to share what was done to come up with some of these activities. How did you coordinate the teachers in your islands? And essentially, how did you come up with the activities that we're planning on using so far? Go ahead, Grenada.
Okay, well, good afternoon again, everyone. In Grenada, we worked on the 3-year-old activities. And what we did is the early childhood unit at the Ministry of Education, together with teachers, compiled the activities that you see present in the three-year-old manual. Then it was forwarded to me as a science curriculum officer to ensure that those activities were actually STEM related. So that's how we created ours.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Bahamas, and then Jamaica will follow. And I believe, Joanna, you'll take the lead after this. Thank you. Sorry, Leisha, are you ready? Are you going to present on?
Okay, I can take it. Okay, but in the Bahamas, of course, our task as assigned by the group was to develop the digital version of the manual. And what we actually did was develop a website. And this website is going to be a very interactive website. Not only will it provide an opportunity for teachers to access STEM-related resources, we also have a section that allows dialogue and the sharing of activities and photographs and projects that are taking place within teachers' classrooms. There's like a sort of a chat room where teachers can exchange freely their activities. We did appreciate the feedback from the team in Peru that said to us we need to consider what our vetting process would be. And so we determined that we would have an established vetting process. And if any of those activities in that exchange are considered valuable, then we will transfer those into the web resource collection of activities. Additionally, in the Bahamas, what we did when we returned is we decided to be a lot more intentional in our STEM education, and we've actually developed a little program called STEM It Up. And STEM It Up is where each week there is a highlighted STEM activity that takes place in the preschool classroom, and we encourage teachers to share that via WhatsApp or social media or their Facebook pages. And so we would give STEM education that extra attention that it needs in order to facilitate its growth and further development throughout the sector. So that's where we are in the Bahamas.
And so what's next now that we have gone through creating the manual? We now need to improve upon it. And so one way for us to do so is to hold workshops for our preschool teachers and other stakeholders. But before we do so, I think that Jacqueline may want to share a part of the manual and the digital so that you can get to see that. Jacqueline, so I'd allow Jacqueline to do that.
Okay, this is the digital version, but it's also a replica. We also have a hard copied version of the manual. But maybe you could just go ahead, Joanna, and just explain. This is the digital, and we have it organized for each age group. Can you show it up?
Good afternoon once again. And so with the digital, persons are able to go on the site, which is shown, weebly.com, to our website, and they're able to find a copy of the curriculum, not just the curriculum, and I think Rochelle spoke to that area when she spoke earlier, and they are also able to access the manual. Okay, so they can find the manual there, which would have the activities for the 3s, 4s, and 5-year-olds. In that manual, what we aimed to do was to ensure that there was a cultural flair from each of our Caribbean countries, even though this manual is intended to be used throughout the Caribbean and for other purposes, anybody else wanting to access it. But we wanted to ensure that there was something that was germane to each country. We also wanted to ensure, because we knew that one of the things teachers talked about was resources, we wanted to ensure that there were indigenous resources, indigenous materials that people can find in their environments. Can you change the slide now, please? And so after using the manual, we wanted
Sorry,
to-
Joanna. Just quickly, did you all want to share the website? I'm not sure, Nicole and Jackie, you have to change your screen in order for the screen share to show the website.
It's still in its draft stages.
That's okay.
Just
If not, that's okay. I just wanted you to be aware that if you switch your screen, it won't show anything other than what you've already shared.
That's fine.
Just so you know. Okay. Please continue, Joanna. I just wanted to check.
Thank you. And so persons can go on that particular website and they will find all of the activities. And the thing about this is it is a work in progress. Can you change the slide for me, please?
Okay, go back to the actual slide.
Just a moment.
Are you needing help with sharing the screen?
Yes,
Nicole?
yes.
So we were.
If you just go ahead and stop sharing your screen.
Okay.
And that's probably the easiest way. Stop sharing, and then you can open the website and then share your screen again. So go ahead and open the website. And then once you've got your website open from that page, just click share screen again, and you should be able to from there.
Yes, okay, that's it. Share screen.
Can you see the screen?
No.
Okay. Cannot see it. Where's this one?
Okay, sorry about that. We just.
That's okay.
Do you want me to go ahead?
When you
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Because we're really at the end of our presentation, so maybe you could just take us to that part, Joanna.
Okay. And so I've shared with you what's in the manual, which you will find on the digital version. And so the question is, what's next for our project team? And so as we move along or moving forward, we want to continue to improve on our STEM activities because we know that this is still a work in progress. So we want to finalize the manual. How do we do that? We do that by having workshops or holding workshops for our preschool teachers and the stakeholders to facilitate the effective use of the manual. We also aim to pilot this manual in selected schools in the various countries of our project team members, Bahamas, Grenada, and Jamaica. And in this way, we're able to get feedback from those persons that would have piloted it, which will help us to tweak where necessary. So our project team, after it has been piloted, we would meet to evaluate project and the implementation on the various islands. And so that is moving forward what we intend to do. And I'm quite sure that we will get great feedback so that we're able to help to bring about critical thinkers, creativity in our students, good communicative skills, and we have our students that are collaborating. Definitely we would have 21st century thinkers. And so we now open the floor for questions and answers. Back to you, Jackie.
There we go. We can hear you again.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. And that's the end of our presentation from Bahamas, Grenada, and Jamaica. We just really want to tell you thank you for listening in, and we appreciate you. We're looking forward to your comments and anything that you have to share with us. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, team. So everyone, at this time, if you have any questions, I invite you to unmute yourself and speak up. Being the first one is being the coolest kid in school. So please, by all means, if you have a question, feel free, unmute yourself and ask away. And please direct your question if you have a specific person that you'd like to ask the question to, and if not, just to the whole team. You can also use the chat if you'd prefer asking your question in chat. I see we've got a question. I have a hand raised here from Gerardo Enrique Aguilar. Gerardo, if you'd like to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question, you're welcome to.
Yeah, thanks all. The team are very articulate. The information is very good prepared and show. And I saw as a common the detail that not many people handling, which is a STEAM mean. So, which is the next step? The team of those very disciplined ladies having planifications just to moving forward to the big part of the population that they don't know what the STEAM mean. This is the final question. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. So team, does anybody have any thoughts on Enrique's question?
So the question, if I may clarify the question is, how are we moving forward with the awareness of STEM education to the general public?
Yeah, because the measure you have in your statistics talk to very clear. So congratulations for this big effort, indeed. But the question is the ones you reformulate and put in the board.
Yeah, that's actually a good question, because one of the challenges we usually face within the education system is Many parents are not fully aware of what we are teaching in the schools, and so their support and their appreciation of it is, not as we would like. So what you're probably encouraging us to do is to look at some level of public education, public awareness program, so that parents and stakeholders would support STEM education within the schools. So I would take that as a recommendation actually for us in extending this STEM education, extending it to the general public as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Deja. Also in Jamaica, with that, many of our teachers are not aware of STEM. Not many, less than 50%. However, through our Professional Development Institute, which is our annual professional development sessions for teachers, we are focusing on STEM for this year, as in May 2020, sorry. So one of our areas is STEM education, allowing other teachers to be more aware of STEM.
And I think another way we can implement it as well is through social media, because here where I teach, whatever activities I do, I try to create like a video log of the processes that we do. So if we're making an instrument or something, we have the whole process in a video. We have from when they're designing it to when they're starting to put it together, and the end product, and then how they share it with their peers. So social media can be very helpful in that aspect. We can also use social media to advertise the manual, so that more people will be exposed to it, not only the teachers, but parents as well.
Excellent. Excellent question, Gerardo. Thank you so much. All right, we've got, I have Jay. If you want to jump on, Jay mentioned to me that he had a couple of questions.
Yeah, hi. So first, I want to congratulate you. While you were talking, I went onto the web and glanced at the manual, even though we couldn't see it on your screen. And I think it's really comprehensive, and it's very hands-on and focuses, it's very student-centered. So I think you've done tremendous work here, given the amount of time, the little bit of time that's ensued between the time that we were in Peru and now. So I really congratulate you. I have two questions. One is, which follows on what was discussed before. It seems to me that this is so forward-looking and has the opportunity to be so helpful to preschool. Then the question is, how do you vertically integrate this so that when the kids get to kindergarten and then to first grade and elementary school, that the teachers in those grades are able to continue the process and build on what these children have learned in preschool? And you already talked a little bit about that, but you might want to say some more. And the second question was, in looking at the data that you showed from the surveys, what I was wondering is whether the respondents had any opportunity to give free responses, or whether they just filled in or checked off answers that were already there. Because sometimes when you ask for free responses, you get some kind of feedback that you weren't anticipating, and that could be very helpful. Thank you.
I'll address the second question. And the second question is no. No, we actually, it's very quantitative, and we did not allow an opportunity for free response. And I agree with you, it would have maybe provided an opportunity for issues and aspects of STEM that we may not have even considered. It would have opened the door for that. So that's for consideration, maybe more of a qualitative question in there to get more open feedback from teachers.
Additionally, if I may, kind of answer the first question that was posed, I think that what you were speaking to has to do with more of a system challenge And I think what has to happen is we have to get our policymakers to help us with the continuity, because yes, we are doing it in preschool, kindergarten, but to make sure that there's continuity as our students move up. And so I think as we move forward, the persons in here that represent the various countries would be able to kind of sit with policymakers who can help to bring about the change for us to be able to carry us throughout, so that as we're doing it in preschool, it is going on in kindergarten, grade 1, all the way up to grade 12. So that is definitely a need for consideration. While I'm here, there was also a question posed by Ms. Terry Gay Vassell, which spoke to special needs teachers being a part of the team. As far as I'm aware, and maybe my other colleagues can speak to it, we didn't have any special ed teachers on. And I think that that would be good moving forward, because yes, we do have a lot of gifted students, okay? And so even though some of the activities in the manual can be adapted, there is a need. And so I would, like for us as a team, moving forward to consider the question posed by Ms. Terry Gay Vassell, which is to have at least a special needs teacher on the team moving forward. Thank you.
Just to answer Jay, in regards to Jamaica, I know that the government has taken a step towards making our children a little bit more critical thinking. We've moved closer to the project approach in our primary education. So from 8 years up, they're trying to introduce more project approach, hands-on activities. But I still think there is a disconnect, as you said. And I think with more policy and just coming together of teachers, not only from early childhood, but also from primary, we tend to separate ourselves, which doesn't make sense, because our children have to move up throughout the system. So if it started at early childhood, it has to be continued throughout. We are moving towards that, and I think just with more education, lots of talks with policymakers, and talks between teachers in early childhood and primary and secondary as well, that it will get better. The special ed, I know Jamaica, for us, we did not have any special ed influence on our activities. However, some of the activities can be manipulated to suit children with challenges or gifted children. But we take that in advisement, and there are people who we can reach out to who will help us with activities like that.
Just quickly wanted to add, also from Jamaica's perspective, from the teachers' colleges. At the teachers' colleges, we are presently reviewing some of our courses, some of our programs, and we are looking at how we can infuse STEM-related activities from that level, and to get our teachers to see how they can use it within the classrooms in the activities that they plan for their children. So currently we are reviewing some of our programs, and our intentions are to definitely infuse more STEM-related. I mean, it is now a buzzword here in Jamaica, and I'm sure in other islands as well. So I think it's quite positive.
In Grenada, we did look at different levels of ability when we created some of the activities, because we are very much interested and encourage the differentiated instruction approach. So with that in mind, we did have activities for different levels and abilities of students.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Any other responses to those questions from the team? If not, we can move on to the next question. Okay, so, and I believe we also had, just before Terry Gay, we had Tisha Smith had asked a similar question, just wondering about consideration for children with disabilities. So I'm assuming that probably answered it. If not, Rochelle, Tisha, feel free to raise your hand. Just quickly, we had a question come up that was asking, I was wondering what sort of vetting process would be in place for the online manual chat room. Could anybody answer to that? Maybe Leisha?
We've actually not identified the vetting process, but one of our major concerns was, first of all, to ensure appropriateness for the level and appropriateness for content. We wanted to make sure that the quality of the presentation grammatically, also that the activity follows a sort of a standardized format where you have, you know, all of the information that is required, your resources, your objectives, and just to make sure that it is at the same standard as the activities that are already on the site. And so we just need to have that processing between uploading by the teacher and actually becoming a part of the collection.
Okay, I have a question. I'm very impressed with what you're doing for the early childhood schools, because basically I teach the high school and I teach grade 7. So I get students doing the PEP or the GSAT till the other day into my school. And introducing STEM at the early childhood is very, very impressive. But I have a concern, and that is I come across some parents of early childhood children who say that the children get homework projects to do at home. Is there any way you have anything in your program where you can do some mentorship program for parents to get them into the STEM projects? Because I think sometimes they are finding it challenging to meet the needs of the project. So I was just wondering that, since I've already heard that some teachers are not aware of STEM, I'm just wondering if there is any mentorship program for parents to make it less stressful for them and help their children to do the projects.
The idea of stakeholders and parents, I think has been introduced here today, and I think you've actually made us a lot more aware of how diverse this resource can be, because we can now consider how the resource may be able to be used to build capacity, awareness, and to motivate parents into encouraging STEM education and critical thinking, even within their home environment. So that's a whole new aspect for us to consider in terms of reaching stakeholders and parents.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else from the team like to respond to Bhagia's question? If not, we will move on to the next. Okay, Antoinette had her hand raised. Antoinette, if you would like to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yes. My question has to do with the gap that we have between the 5-year-olds and the grade 1s. I'm at the grade 1 level, and I find that there is a gap when the children leave the 5-year-old class and then they get to grade 1. There's a gap there. Does the team have anything in place to probably do a supplemental manual or a transitional manual that those of us at grade 1, we can use to transition the children from the grade 5 class to the grade 1?
Antoinette, just quickly, could you tell us where you're joining us from?
I'm in Jamaica.
Fantastic, thank you.
And I am a grade 1 teacher in the primary school.
Wonderful, thank you for joining. Welcome. All right, team.
Thank you.
Any responses for Antoinette?
When you say gap, in what aspect are you talking about?
All right, so you're looking at the STEM at the up to the 5-year-old. Now, what happens is when they leave the 5-year-old class, they jump right into what we have now in Jamaica as the NSC curriculum. It's a new curriculum, right? It's a PEP curriculum. So there's this space in the middle. So sometimes it's hard for the children to transition. It's like they're coming from one curriculum and they just jump right over. There's nothing to ease them into it.
Well, I think because STEM activities aren't widely used in Jamaica. I know it is the buzzword and everything, but it's not used throughout. And a lot of teachers are not really sure of what they are doing and if it's really STEM related activities. So there may be a gap because if you're moving from a situation where you haven't been doing this to a situation where you have to be doing this, then there will be a gap. I think introducing STEM now in early childhood and helping the teachers to become better facilitators for our children in that aspect will close that gap a little bit. That is why I think the Early Childhood Commission, and that is why we're doing this project, to facilitate, to help our teachers be better facilitators in this area, so that as they move up and you guys are using the new curriculum, the PEP curriculum,
right,
as they move forward, then the gap won't be there, because we have to get them to start thinking critically from early childhood, so that when they get to grade 1, then they'll be able to transition better. I don't think the thing is it's not being used as much now, and it's just coming on board. So that is why you may see a gap.
Okay, thank you.
And I'd just like to add, I'm sure, Antoinette, you are probably doing STEM related activities and you're probably not aware that you're doing those activities. I'm sure you have activities where you engage them in very creative ways and to get them to
Oh,
think.
yes.
Right. So sometimes we think that STEM is, something separate. It's out there and very much it could be within your classroom happening as we speak, but you're just not seeing it that way. So we're hoping that the manual would just further stimulate our teachers and to see how, they can use it as a guide to create their own activities and just to see how they can engage their children, to think a little bit more out of the box. So the manual, yes, it's intended for 3 to 5, but the activities are flexible enough that you can modify. And the aim is to just stimulate you and to get you excited and to see how you can make a change.
Thank you.
Thank you, Antoinette. We really appreciate your question. And thank you for joining us. All right, we're really at the end of our time, but we do have a hand that's been up for a while, and that was Tisha Smith. If you'd like to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, thank you. Let me go really quick because the question was kind of attended to earlier on, but I work with deaf students, DEAF students, and I know it's easy to put them in the, under the umbrella of special education, but because of the language needs, their unique language needs, that doesn't always work out in their, to their advantage. And because of the language deprivation as well, our deaf students, they tend to be way, way, way behind academically and cognitively. So I'm just saying for your activities going forward, any work that you're doing, if you could please consider this grouping, because STEM would be a really attractive strategy for them, given that they're a visual set of students and they have this huge language barrier. I think this would be a good way to help them to connect to some of the concepts in other subjects.
Yeah, Tishka, that's very interesting because I'm sitting here and you know, you can tell me if it's if I'm actually right, and I'm thinking that because of the interactive nature of the STEM activities, that your students probably would respond very well to, you know, building rocket ships and making tall towers and, you know, very practical activities that
Right.
your students would probably be very responsive.
The students would be responsive, and I agree with you, but just to consider how it is that the concepts could be explained to them, because while a grade 1 student may know what a rocket ship is, a grade 1 student who is deaf may not know, given that they have these huge language barriers and their general knowledge is not as advanced as a hearing child. So those are the things that, you know, I would want us to consider going forward. So even though they're the same age, same grade, their cognitive level may be behind because of the language input and the language deprivation coming from previous grades and from the home environment.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Excellent, Tisha. Thank you so much for the question. Anyone else on the team want to give any response to that?
Yes, Allison, I think what needs to happen, listening to the question that came from the young lady just previously and some others that spoke, I think that the conversation must be had between all stakeholders where they are really educated on STEM education and some of the things that they can do. And so we spoke about not just the teacher's manual, but I see the need now for a manual for parents. I see the need now for us not just to hold workshops with our teachers and those in the field of education, but also as we have our PDA meetings, our parent conferencing, I see it as a need for us to share with them as well. And so even if it is through infomercials, through WhatsApp, through Facebook, at least, and we're providing, as Rochelle said, step by step. How do we do this? Getting our teachers to use various methodologies so that we can bring a greater understanding to our students and meet them where they're at. So there is a need for us to have a conversation.
Excellent. I agree. We did have one hand that was up that we don't have really much time left, but Deborah McKenzie, your hand was up. Do you have any comments or a question that you wanted to ask just briefly as we close out? And her hand's been up for a while now, so maybe it was answered. Okay, you can just chat me, Deborah McKenzie, if you have questions later. Excellent. Well, with that, we probably do need to close out. It is time. Our hour is up. But thank you all so much for attending. If you could go ahead, Nicole, and stop sharing your screen, I will just briefly share mine. Okay. All right. Okay, everybody. So just to give you a visual here before we head out. So again, thank you all so much for participating. And team, fantastic job. I've been working with this team for the last 6 months, and they've definitely come a long way in spite of any natural disasters or anything. So a lot of work that's been done and more that will be done. So, and these ladies will be partaking as well, possibly in some cooperation exchanges in the spring, our spring. And yeah, so some big things to come. Those of you who are still here, you can see here we've got a survey that will be coming to your inbox. You'll probably get that tomorrow. And of course, if you're interested in listening to the recording, or if there's someone else that couldn't make it, there will be a recording, and that link for that will all be on the website and in the email that we'll be sending to you. And just so you know, we do have a few webinars left coming up for the other project teams. So we've got 6 teams and 3 have already presented. The 3 that are coming up are tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. And if they are listed here in Spanish, that's because they will be delivered in Spanish. So it looks like if you speak Spanish, come tomorrow or Thursday. And if you're looking for our last presentation in English, that will be a team presenting on Friday at 4 p.m. our time. And those of you who are interested in our project teams and you'd like to learn more about how to become part of one of these teams, please make plans to attend our December 10th webinar, and we'll be there giving some extra details on how to participate and answering any questions that you all might have. All right. Okay, everyone. Well, thanks again for joining, and I hope that you all have really benefited from being here. Please feel free to reach out with any extra questions, and we'll be sending you an email probably tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a good evening.
Thank you,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.